Yeah, you read the title correctly. I believe it's what's called a chemical pregnancy, and I was just reading a little bit about it today, and I guess so it's interesting that there's different days after, like the amount of days after the transfer, that they will have the beta blood test, and the reason why is to see if there was possibly a pregnancy, and like this is how I understand it. And the reason for that is it sounds like it's the embryo that like if it was like, you know, like if there was a positive pregnancy test or like blood test, which there was, you know, on Tuesday it was at 1:31, and then it just the embryo just didn't develop, and something happened, and it was lost. So that's what happened. And so on Thursday, I got the phone call around like 3:45 when I was at work, and I just had a feeling that it wasn't good. And as soon as the nurse got on the phone, she said, "Hi, I wish I had better news for you." And I already knew, because that morning I took a pregnancy test just to prepare myself, and I'm so glad that I did. And I noticed that the line was a lot lighter than it was on Tuesday, and the darkness of the line matched what it was like a week prior to that. And I'm in all these surrogate groups on Facebook, and I've seen so many pictures of like the line progression, and I'm like, I know that's not good. And like Wednesday and so the beta test was Thursday, and Wednesday and Thursday I wasn't feeling the symptoms so much. Like I still was tired, but I noticed that like my heightened sense of smell wasn't there so much, like as strongly as it was. I was still having like vivid dreams, but not as much. Like it's weird that like I knew, but I was just still hoping that like what I knew was wrong, and it wasn't, obviously. So this was supposed to be it. This was supposed to be the end of the road. The parents kept saying that, you know, they've just tried so long, and that if this doesn't happen this time with this one embryo that they have, that's it, that they're just done trying. And I'm just like, you guys have been trying for 7 years, and like that's it, you know, like we almost had it. So immediately after the clinic called me, they called the parents, and then she messaged me and she said, "Hi Brittney, you know, are you available to talk?" And I'm at work, and I'm like, can I do this? Like, can I hold it together? Because I don't want to like come back in, you know, and being a mess from crying. So I'm like, I can do this, you know. I took a couple deep breaths, and I think what helped is taking that test and like mentally preparing myself for the potential news. And so that helped tremendously. And so then I went out in the hallway and I spoke with her, and she didn't sound hysterically sad like I was expecting her to. And I was also like shocked that she wanted to talk to me so soon after she received the devastating news. And she's like, "Hi, how are you?" And I was just I'm getting emotional. And she's like, "I'm just so sorry." So I was just thinking, you know, like, what is she so, you know, sorry about? And like she didn't do anything, but it's just how sweet she is, and she was just making sure I was okay. And that you know, she was just asking like what happens now, and I said that I stop all the medication. I was instructed to stop all the medication, and that I just wait for my period to come, and then in 1 week they're gonna take my blood again, and they're going to make and then like a week after that, and then so forth until it's below 5. But I believe that I don't think it's gonna take that long, because the number came back as 61. So it went from 131 to 61 in only 2 days. So it dropped by half instead of, you know, going up, you know, doubling. So it did the opposite of what it was supposed to do. And so now I'm just waiting, you know, for my period to start. And what I noticed in what she was telling me is she said that she's gonna speak to the doctor tomorrow, which was Friday, you know, about next steps. And I didn't understand what she meant. I'm like what next steps? Like, that's it, you know, like they had one embryo. They kept saying over and over, you know, like that, you know, just this one and that's it, just this one and that's it. So I didn't want to like ask her what she meant by what next steps, you know, like especially in that time. You know, just a very sensitive conversation. And so but I just, and then my husband asked, you know, and I messaged my husband, and he was just shocked, and I told him about the conversation, and he said, you know, was she crying? And I'm like, she cried, or she, like, I heard her get choked up after she heard me getting choked up, you know, like, 'cause I just didn't get it, like, you know, like, like the last parents that I worked with, they only had one embryo, and those parents were assholes, and they, you know, they got what they wanted. And these parents are angels, and they didn't get what they wanted. And it's just unfair. It's just unfair. But the good thing about a chemical pregnancy is that, like, it just proves that I'm still able to carry, that the embryo was developing, you know, and like I was able to, you know, it was going well, and then it just didn't. The embryo just stopped developing. So that makes me feel good, you know. I just so then I called the counselor, and, you know, I let her know, and I told her, you know, like how the intended mother was, you know, saying about next steps. And she's like, oh, that's right, you know, they were the parents that, you know, were insistent upon just one embryo and that's it. And she's like, I'm really curious what she meant by next steps. And so then she called her, and you know, she just let her know that she was, you know, very sorry, you know, of like what happened. And then the clinic emailed me, and she said that she spoke with the intended mother and the intended parents, and that they're going to be looking for a new egg donor this weekend, and that they want to try again with me. And I was just like, I was just so happy. Like, I didn't know what to think like that day. Like, that day was just so crazy. Like, I had so many like emotions, and like, you know, like I thought like that was it. And I'm like, what do I do now? Like, do I match with different parents? Like, do I want to pursue like being a surrogate again? Do I just want to take a break from this? Because I've been kind of at this since February of 2017 when I decided to be a surrogate again, and now it's May of 2018, and I'm like, am I supposed to be a surrogate again? And like, I fell in love with these parents, and like just going through the whole process again of matching with new parents, and like all the legal work, and, you know, just like, why do you want to be a surrogate, and blah 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 blah. Like, I have my couple and I love them, and I want to give them a baby. And so I was just thrilled when I heard that they, you know, that they, you know, they want to try again, and that they're looking for a new egg donor this weekend. They got the database from the clinic, and then the counselor called me, and she said, you know, she's like, yeah, I spoke with her, and yeah, they are just so determined now. Like, they have you, and they you know, they want to move forward. And so I was so thrilled to hear that. And then the intended mother called me yesterday, and she said, you know, she's like, I'm just gonna move heaven and earth to make this happen. And I'm like, we just need, and I just feel like we just need one more try. We're gonna have a new egg donor, and hopefully they're gonna test the embryos this time. Oh, and then I found out that the embryo was a grade B. I don't know when they found that out. I don't know if that's right before they transfer, that they maybe test the quality. I'm honestly, there's just so much that goes into this. I'm not sure, but the counselor told me that it was a grade B embryo, and that could be the reason why, you know, the embryo didn't take, but it just, I guess just wasn't meant to be. So I was speaking with intended mother like after work last night, and then I'm on the phone with her, and she's like, yeah, we're gonna look over the database this weekend, and then on Tuesday we speak to the IVF doctor, and then, you know, we're just gonna go from there. And then the counselor told me that she suggested to the parents that they go with an experienced egg donor, so that way they know that they'll get a high amount of eggs. Well, you know, more likely with an experienced egg donor, because I guess the last time they went with an egg donor, they only got 3 embryos. Well, maybe like more eggs, and then, you know, once they fertilize the embryos, you know, it's kind of like an elimination process. So they were only to get 3 embryos. So then, you know, I'm thinking, you know, they're gonna go with another egg donor, they're gonna have more embryos, and so maybe, you know, the first one is going to take the next time, and then you know, I would consider a sibling journey. They haven't said anything yet, but they changed their mind already with going, you know, trying again with an egg donor, so maybe they'll change their mind again. But like, I don't know, I don't want to work with anyone else besides them. They're so sweet. Like, it was amazing to me that they wanted to make sure that I was okay. She sounded more concerned of how, you know, of how I was doing than, you know, that the transfer failed. And that just spoke so much to me, and it's just a world's different from my first surrogacy, and I'm just very thankful for that. And so this next time I'm going to ask the nurse and the IVF doctor if I can be on estrogen instead of estradiol or whatever. I was taking 3 pills orally every day, and that was to help thicken my uterine lining. And I noticed how significantly thinner my lining was compared to the first and second time, you know, I was leading up to a transfer. The first time I did this, it was a failed transfer back in August of 2015, and my lining was a 12 a week before the transfer. And then the second time, and it was a successful transfer, it was a 15 before the a week before the transfer. So this time it was supposed to be on a Friday, and my lining was only like a 7.9 a week before the transfer. And I'm like, what? Like, that's not good. And they had to move the transfer date out to the following Wednesday, just like messing up my entire schedule for, like, you know, requesting a day off from work and everything. And I think the reason why is because the first 2 times I did this, I was on estrogen. And estrogen is an injection in the same area for the progesterone and oil. And so I just think that my body responds better to the estrogen, and like a thicker liner is better for like a higher success rate of, you know, the embryo taking. So then I'm thinking of, you know, like, was it that, you know, like, was my lining not thick enough? You know, did I not drink enough palm juice? and then, like, you know, like, I don't know, I don't even know what to think. And then, you know, like, as I was speaking to the intended mother, you know, yesterday, she's like, how are you doing? And I'm like, it's just weird. Like, one moment, you know, you were told you were pregnant on Tuesday, and then, you know, come Thursday, it's just, you know, you're not pregnant. You need to stop all medications, and that's it. Like, you have this mindset that you're gonna be pregnant for the next 9 months, and, you know, you can't do this, and this, of course, you know, and then all of a sudden you're allowed to do those things because you're just not pregnant anymore. And it's just a really strange feeling. So it just sucks. It just sucks. And I just really feel for the people, or the women, who go through this just multiple times, and, you know, get to this point and, like, you think everything's good, and then it's just not. So I'm heartbroken, but I have just hope that it'll only take one more time, and that that these wonderful people will finally have a baby. So continue to follow along. I'm probably not gonna do like another uterine lining video, because there's really nothing much that goes into them. You just show up to the office, it's an ultrasound, and I already have a video on there from my first surrogate journey. So it sounds like they're moving really fast with it. You know, she even said of the possibility of doing a fresh transfer, and she was like, she even said like, you know, maybe even next month. And I'm like, I don't think it's gonna move that fast. Maybe 2 months, but we'll see. We'll see how quickly, you know, everything goes, and if our cycles match up, and you know, who knows. And then like also, you know, like I need to start my period too, with you know, with this whole cycle like just being over. So thank you for watching. Wish I had better news for you guys, and thank you for everyone who's reached out, and you know, just in comments, and you know, your prayers and positive vibes throughout this journey so far. And I also let her know, the intended parents, that I'm not gonna give up on this of making them parents until they do. So I finally have that match, what they call, you know, a match made in heaven. So again, thank you for viewing. Please subscribe and hit that like button. I'm just so terrible at this. And yeah, until my next video, I don't know when it's gonna be. Maybe giving an update of the egg donor and who they choose, and whatever else I have an update on. Until then, thank you.